Let's see if this works. You are live. Hello, everybody. If anyone's watching, this is Michael Gray Griffith from Cafe Lockdout, and we are going live from the steps of Parliament, which is the... Okay, waiting for a few more. So we're live here tonight from the steps of Parliament on the... it's a vigil for the eve of democracy. Tomorrow, if the vote goes against us tonight, which it's very touch and go, we could wake up in totalitarianism. But tonight we've got the Golden Gadi on and Richard D Wolstencroft. And I've nailed that name, Richard, when you get on. Notice that I've actually nailed that name. And they are going to talk about Fiona Patten's sex bill. And that's one of the reasons that we now are looking at totalitarianism. Here we go. Welcome to the show, my lovely friends.
Hey, guys. Good evening, everyone.
I'll just give everyone a quick view. So that's the gathering crowd. We've got the police on the steps as usual. The hairdressers are down there and the free masseurs. They've been
free masseurs, now you got me.
The free massage. They've been working all day. They're amazing and beautiful. And if anyone else comes along, I'll grab them and get them in.
Yep.
Okay.
Didn't know about the free massages, mate. That would have got me down.
This is Steve. I was arrested on the Shrine steps with Steve.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good. Fair cop.
Yeah.
So Steve makes a very nice bottle of red wine.
He does. He's a
great
freedom fighter. And all jokes aside, his family have literally lost everything. They're all unemployed because of the stance they've taken. And here he is.
That's it, making a stand.
Yeah, that's it.
Fellow brothers.
Daddy Steve.
Brothers in arms. Yeah. So, my friend, dear Golden Gadi, just to start, someone turned up today, and every day there's something that astonishes you. We had a young woman here today. She's just out of the prison system, and she had a baby while she was in the prison system. I don't know the whole story of that.
Yep.
And they would not let her see or hold the baby until she got double jabbed.
That's unbelievable.
That's serious.
Outrageous.
So let's take evil to a whole new level. You sit there and go, how can we surprise them today with something more morally disgusting than we did yesterday?
It's incredible. Unbelievable.
That's the award. That's the award.
It's beyond
Cheers. You psychopathic
Cheers. All right, so let's talk about the bill, this sex bill. Before we start, I just want to give a couple of caveats, if I can.
Caveats,
caveats.
First of all, what I'm doing for myself, I'm a lawyer, so I'll be speaking about the Sex Work Discrimination Bill 2021. I'm giving you a legal opinion. And it's my legal opinion. You may not agree with that opinion, but that's my interpretation of it. If I get political, I'll tell you I'm getting political. But if I don't say anything, then I'm not. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing as a pair of eyes. The other thing I just want to say also is that when this show, Michael started the show, this was basically a venue, a cafe for a conversation. So everyone is entitled to their view, and no one here, and certainly not me, none of us are pushing a particular line or view. Everyone can have whatever view they like, and we respect people's views. So, and in that vein, as I said from the first day I was on the show, I'm not pro or anti-vax. All I am is a civil libertarian, basically. Okay, so that's the caveat that I wanted to give. Okay, so
tell us to Nicolam.
There are a lot of bills that have been the government's trying to pump through, and today is basically the last day. So it's it's going to get rammed in, and I imagine that they'll have a long sitting tonight. When people read it, for those who listen, a bill is what is the fetus of what becomes an act of parliament. It has to go through the Legislative Assembly. Once it's passed there, where the government has the majority. System. Right.
Once it has invented this shit.
That's right. So the government has majority in the assembly. That's how they form government. Then it goes to the council, and the council, the government does not have majority, so they rely on the crossbenchers. Okay. Now, the crossbenchers, and I'm not casting aspersions on these particular ones. All crossbenchers generally have their own wheelbarrow that they're pushing, and in this instance, this particular bill, I think, is being pushed by Fiona Patten. Fiona Patten used to be the leader of a party called the Sex Party.
Yes, I know her quite well, actually.
Oh, right. In the biblical sense,
I actually gave a speech in favour of the Sex Party when she launched it, because I was.
That was on the yeah.
I mean, I was kind of. She seemed libertarian when she began. I mean, I sent a photograph to you and Michael just before we logged on of a picture of me and Fiona Patten together, when I was giving that speech. So I mean, it's
it's bizarre.
Go ahead.
Well, you know what they say in Latin, the translation of Latin is follow who benefits. So there's some benefit there. And maybe this bill will tell us that. I don't know. But let's just go through the bill. The other thing the people should be aware, when we lawyers read bills, often the bill says this bill amends this and this bill amends that. But it does it in such a way that you could actually understand what the amendments are. This particular bill is written up in a very difficult way. I'm looking at it now. Pardon my eyes not being on you. I'm looking at the bill. It goes for 43 pages, and it's full of amendments. And so you'd have to have 6 or 7 acts of parliament around you, and to try and put the jigsaw together. It's very difficult. But what are the
cliff notes? So what are the cliff notes? That's
the thing. That's what I was about to talk about. There's a thing called an explanatory memorandum. And I'll work from the explanatory memorandum because I think it's easier in this instance. So this is what it says, that the purpose of this bill, there are about 5 or 6 purposes. One of them is to decriminalise sex work and provide for a reduction of discrimination and harm towards sex workers. I didn't know that was necessary because that was already the case.
No, it's a globalist agenda because they want everyone to be a prostitute.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone gets fucked.
Initially repeal the offences in the Sex Work Act, repeal the Sex Work Act, reenact offences in the Sex Work Act and in the Crimes Act. So in other words, they get rid of all these crimes and they package them in another way. They amend the Summary Offences Act and they amend the Equal Opportunities Act. This is a wholesale change of lots of things, and we're about to go through those changes. And it comes into effect on the 1st of March next year or earlier, if it can be assented to earlier. So let's have a look. One of the first things that it does is it says that it requires all local government laws enacted under the Local Government Act to be consistent with this legislation. So if there are any local governments who run their own show, like say the Toorak, the Stonington in Toorak, as opposed to, I don't know, Port Phillip in St Kilda, they have to be consistent. Everything
centralisation of power.
That's right. Exactly right. Okay, so and then they say that they're going to put this in and they'll review it in 3 to 5 years after the commencement. So 3 to 5 years when Fiona Patten's retired and she's gone, and when Dan Andrews is sitting in his corporate office in I don't know, Hong Kong or Beijing as a corporate leader or part of World Health Organization, who knows? It'll make no difference if the whole thing was a complete balls up, because they won't be here to cop it. So that's lovely. Nothing like a review when you're no longer around. Okay, now. Sections 12, 13, and 14. Now, what these particular sections in the Sex Work Act do is they're repealed. And what they're repealing is that they repeal offences for sex workers or clients to solicit or loiter for sex work services in certain public areas. So what this does, to put it into plain language, the purpose of this is to decriminalise street-based sex work. So we've now gone the full circle. 40 years ago, a client came to me and said to me that he wanted me to appear for him at VCAT to get a brothel license because they had a brothel in Grey Street. And now, and the theory was we're going to get all the prostitutes off the streets
Yep. Now they want them back on the streets.
Now we're back on the streets. So we're back on the streets. That's the first thing. One question, may I interrupt?
Yeah, can we pimp out Michael and get him as a sex worker on the streets at the moment? Because he has a lot of female fans out there. I reckon, Gadi, just quietly mute him for a second. I think we can make a lot of money here, mate, and we can pimp him out and make him a bitch.
Oh, he's going to be...
I have to say, here today, they've been saying, I don't know if it's true, that you can get an exemption from the vax if you're a sex worker.
Oh, we'll get to that.
There you go.
No, I didn't hear that, but we'll get to that. But look, apropos what you just said, Richard, there's Section 17 of the Sex Work Act has been substituted. So the set of controls on advertising by sex work and services providers has changed. The purpose is to remove complex industry-specific advertising controls and related offences. So, for example, you can pimp out Michael very easily.
Nice.
Without stringent advertising controls.
My ambition.
Yeah. Hello, Markin. How are you? So, hello, mate.
Well done.
How you keeping, Markin?
Pimp that ass. Pimp that ass.
He can't hear you.
Okay, he can't hear.
Good to see you discussing.
Okay, so now you can advertise, and you're going to see a lot of that.
Sex. So
I'd
He's very
suggest
popular. He'd be a good prostitute as well.
Well,
I'd suggest that in
get together a whole posse, mate. Male prostitutes and make a lot of money here.
Yeah, that's
going to be a big enterprise.
I think we can expect to see advertising quite brazenly for sex. You're not going to be sitting on Facebook suddenly getting some text from some girl in Russia. It'll be, you'll get mail drops in your place and you'll get all sorts of things.
So it's basically legalizing prostitution. Is that what you're saying? Completely, almost.
Well, it was legalized anyway when they had the brothel amendments 40 years, but this is taking it to the next. It's bringing it back on the streets. It's allowing advertising. But where it's all heading is that brothels have had the day. That's what it comes down to.
And so they'll be independent agents. Is that what they're saying? They'll be like
that's exactly
people working at it.
Precisely. So all the brothels
in your own house, like.
Well, we get to that. I think so. Well, I think that's the issue, really, because now a person who decides to be a sex worker can do that from their home. They can't do it, for example, between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. They say they can't do it then. That's okay. But from 7 p.m. till from 7:01 p.m. to 5:59 a.m. If you're living in some quiet court in the suburbs. Theoretically, your next door neighbour can she can be a prostitute working from home. And that's the way it is. They can't do it next to a school. They can't do it.
That's nice.
No, not next to a school. As to a church or a place of worship, that's arguable. They might be able to do it next to a place of worship, but not
next to a church is okay though. Yeah,
but not between.
The Catholic priests can join into the school.
I'd like to see how our brethren, our Muslim brethren, would take to that.
Next to the mosque in Coburg, can we get one next to the mosque? Gadi.
I can imagine.
That way they can go and kneel to Allah and then get down and get their ends up the other way. It's just like a win-win.
That's so.
Richard, I'd like to apologise to all our
Where's the goat? Where's the goat?
Viewers
goat
for that comment.
That's
I don't know if I can access the goat.
I distance myself from that remark. All right. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so they've repealed Section 18A of the Sex Work Act, which makes it an offence.
Sorry.
Too late, goats. That was too worthy.
Sex worker or a client do not adopt safe sex practices. So you no longer have to adopt safe sex practices.
So you can spread AIDS.
The purpose
on purpose, if you want it. What the hell?
Yeah, but listen to this, Richard. The purpose of this repeal is to remove a discriminatory, industry-specific public health offence. So
wow, we hate discrimination. We hate discrimination based on a medical, that would be terrible. On a medical situation. I mean, that's the last thing the Andrews government wants.
That's the irony of the whole thing.
Isn't it?
If you have AIDS, you mustn't be discriminated
Rock and roll.
against.
Yeah. But if you don't have COVID and you're just unvaxxed, though, you should be basically shunned from society. So that's the situation we're living in.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's clown world, mate. It's called clown world by the new right. That's what we call it now.
you're a prostitute. You ask your client. He comes into your living room, and you say, right, could you please show me your back certificate? You say you've got it there, right?
Yep.
And we're good to go. And then no one's going to ask if you got syphilis, or herpes, AIDS.
Yeah. And I guess that was the point of having them at brothels, because they would do regular sex disease tests. Is that correct?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't been there, but I believe they were. Yeah. So
we'll kind of blow the industry wide open, so to speak.
Well, I think so.
Pardon the pun.
But I think so, and I think that's where what Fiona wanted. I think she must have wanted to have all her friends and colleagues in the industry free to do what they want, because now they're going to literally make a killing with money. They really are. I mean, if you see the
kind of democratization of sex workers. There's a site, I can't remember its name, Only Stars or something like that. What's it called? OnlyFans. That's it. OnlyFans, which is like people can go and make their own sex videos, and you can pay them to watch them or whatever. And obviously there's lots of things like that, but that was something that kind of took off in the last few years, I think, in lockdown. There's this, I mean, the whole industry, I mean, as I said before, it kind of fits into the whole, globalist worldview that everyone is a kind of prostitute, of one way or another, and everyone can be bought and sold. It really fits that whole kind of mindset in a way. And
keep that thought in mind, because there's a piece of one of the sections of this deals with that specifically. So we'll come to that. So let's go on with section. Hang on.
Personally, I don't think human beings are products, and I have a huge problem with that. I'm a really big fan of Martin Heidegger, and he has a real problem with, like the way that capitalism essentially turns people into products, and what he calls standing reserve. And obviously you can see that kind of playing out in something like this whole COVID thing, in the sense where we're almost like cattle. And that, the reason we're being vaccinated is because you've got to vaccinate your cattle, because they'll get diseases and things. I mean, I honestly think, people always wonder, what are the globalists up to with this vaccination thing? I think it has something to do with that. Like, they always pump them full of steroids and things, before taking them to the market. And I think that's the way to look at what's going on. It might not necessarily be a eugenic plan, but it's some kind of thing where they want to regulate, us, through being able to inject us whenever they want,
Yeah, let's keep going. Look, the Sex Work Act provided for the health minister to determine the time period for swab tests to be taken by sex workers.
Well, now, is that anal? Is that an anal swab?
But that's no longer
optional.
No longer required. So forget the swabs now. That's
bend over, Michael.
No swabs. That's another story about getting the.
I can't wait to get my first anal swab.
Yeah. Okay, so section 24 and 24A of
they have a swab big enough for you, Richard?
Well, I've never been swabbed, so I'm a swab virgin. Klaus swabbed himself. I've been waiting for Klaus Schwab to swab me.
If you haven't been swabbed, Richard,
never once.
If you hold you might be lucky, because
hold me down, eh?
They were talking at one point. They were talking about queuing up at Bunnings for a test and getting a sausage, at the end
sausage at Bunnings, straight up.
There could be another line for the anal swabs, and you got to make sure you're in the right queue. This is your sausage, This
is, sausage or swab. Straight away.
Only one line gives you onions.
All right, let's go on. 24 and 24.
Go on. Keep reading.
Those two sections have been repealed from the Act. Those sections said that it's an offence applicable to a small owner operator to work businesses that are exempt from holding a license. So basically, to put it into plain language, it basically allows everybody to become their own business person, and they're a businessman and businesswoman running their own. And there's going to be some licensing. I think it's through the Business Licensing Authority that they're going to do it. By the way, the Business Licensing Authority is a licensing authority which, amongst other things, licenses real estate agents. Not that we're calling real estate agents prostitutes, but
maybe we could work them together here. I'm always looking for business opportunities, Gadi. I'm sure you are too. So we get real estate and prostitution. You got empty houses and prostitutes. This is going to work, mate.
I have to say, just saying now to everyone who's coming on and wondering what we're talking about.
Yes.
We're just about
we're becoming pimps. We're all becoming pimps here.
We're on the verge of losing democracy here, and Fiona Patten. In order to get Fiona Patten to agree to kill our democracy, we had to give her something, and Dan gave her this sex bill. and Gadi is going
Good and hot. Good and hot. He gave it to her.
And basically,
Fiona,
it legalizes prostitution. You can set up a brothel. Someone can set up a brothel.
Well,
right
it doesn't. It was already legal to begin with. What it does is it
makes it
takes
easier.
prostitutions out of the brothels and puts it in the home of every prostitute to run from her own home.
Yeah.
Every home is now a brothel.
It's like Uber sex.
Every home,
right.
Every home is now a brothel. There you go.
And now it says. It also said to add to the colour. Section 63 of the Sex Work Act has been amended, so now police don't need a warrant. The right for police to enter without a search warrant has gone.
Do they get free sex at the brothel?
So basically, you're protected in your home. You're protected in your home if you're a prostitute. There's also secrecy.
The police are changing guard. You can see behind me.
A changing of the guard, swivel it around. Let's see that.
There's so much police here. I tell you, it's amazing.
Is there like a? Is it a military kind of thing? Do they blow a whistle and march up and down?
No. They just. But it's a huge amount of police here. There's not been one incident today that required one policeman, and there's just been a huge amount. I think they're scared that.
They're worried.
Anyway, back to brothels.
Back to brothels.
Yep.
Take it away.
So
area,
now what they're also going to do, what they've done as well, is they've amended the Equal Opportunity Act. The Equal Opportunity Act.
Nothing like equality, eh?
Because now they want to destigmatize the sex work industry. So now being a prostitute is going to be considered a profession, trade, or occupation.
Okay. Yes. Sort of like a lawyer.
Well. They actually refer to lawyers in this explanatory
note. And prostitutes. There you go.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So
lawyers are prostitutes.
You can actually have a CV as a prostitute. And by the way, this is not only prostitute. It's also later on it refers to the LGBTI community.
Of course it does.
Notes.
It's all connected. It's all yes.
The theory is that women prostitutes and the LGBTI community, who basically make up for this community, are very stigmatized and attacked and
they're oppressed. Identity politics.
Very oppressed. Very oppressed.
Intersectionality, I mean, they're going
to have
the trans community, the LBG, terrible repression.
Their profession, there will be professional trade or engage in trade and occupation. They might even have a CV for all I know. They might even have graduating ceremonies. I don't know. I mean, it's respect must be given.
Do you have like a QC version?
Now here comes the interesting part. Section Clause 35. You can discriminate in certain circumstances, and here is where they give an example. So
you can be a racist.
Discriminate. Listen, you can
be
discriminate based on a person's professional, occupational trade in relation to the offering of employment, if their experience in that professional, occupational trade is relevant. So, and then they go and give an example. So, for example, if you're engaged, for example, a professional qualification or certification as a lawyer is relevant and genuine requirement for employment for a position of legal counsel. Imagine they decide to pick a lawyer as an example. Okay, well, that means this. If
they're using a lawyer to
I know, it's all right.
As a metaphor for a prostitute.
It's incredible. So if I as a lawyer want to employ a lawyer, I'm entitled to say you have to have a law degree. But if I choose between one lawyer who's a law degree and is a straight, narrow, clean-cut kind of dude, and another one who has a law degree who works part-time as a prostitute, I can't discriminate. I'm not allowed to say I choose the other one because my clients might get upset with you being a prostitute, and that will apply in every profession. So you can no longer say to someone, "I don't want to employ you because what you do is not comfortable to me, my business, and my so and so."
Sorry, Gadi. How about childcare?
They haven't mentioned it, but I can't imagine why not. Why if somebody has childcare qualifications and they work part-time as a hooker, that's the way it is. That's what that does. So let's move on. Other things. Then they've changed the definition of what commercial sexual services actually means. And this is another cute one. So the new definition of commercial sexual service is services involving the use or display of the body of the person providing the service of the sexual arousal or sexual gratification of others. And then for ABC, A, commercial benefit, So if you pay a prostitute, that's a commercial benefit. B, payment, if you put money on the table. And C, reward. Now, Richard, over to you. Does reward refer to the director's couch?
Well, I mean, I have no idea. You're talking about a prostitution bill. I mean, at some level, everybody in society is a kind of prostitute.
Wow.
So imagine getting getting a little bit of nookie from, putting it on an employee or something or somebody else. And not that I think it's a good thing to do, but they've expanded the whole idea of what prostitution.
Is that the Weinstein? Is that the Weinstein Clause? They call it the Weinstein Clause.
The Weinstein Clause, yeah.
The one jab clause. Can we just say that this is actually being debated in the upper house
right now?
After this bill. So after the bill to destroy our democracy, then they're going to the bill to allow everyone to be a hooker. So that's happening now. Okay?
Society's moving in the right direction. We're going to have basically a totalitarian society of hookers. So, there you go. It's going to be like a strange mix. It's basically Weimar Germany meets Nazi Germany. So,
Yeah. This is really,
There are some good things in this bill, though. I have to give credit.
So you doff the hat, tip of the hat?
I'm going to tip the hat. They talk about using kids or people who give visas. There's been lots of scandals about getting paid for visas and sexual favors for visas. So they've done that. They've shut that out, which is a good thing in this legislation. So there are some good things, but they didn't need to do the other things to get to that. They didn't need to create streetwalkers. They didn't need to allow prostitutes to work from home as opposed to a designated brothel. And they didn't need to drop the standards of healthcare for the sake of privacy and destigmatization. That's my concern. And that basically gives you a 30-minute summary of the act.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Well, obviously it's symbolic of the collapse of Western civilization, all this stuff. I mean, it's just yet another cut in 1,000 cuts, to destroy the West. Obviously, I don't think things were that bad in the sex industry before this came along. I mean, why do you think this has come up at the moment? What does it have to do with Daniel? Obviously, this has been used as a kind of, what would the word be, a coin that Daniel Andrews has given to Fiona Patten to get her vote as such. Is that what you think, Gabby?
I don't know. That you're asking me a political comment, and I can't be sure one way or another. But
I think you can be pretty sure.
We don't believe in conspiracies here, but at the same time, there are no coincidences, right? So
I definitely believe in conspiracies. I mean, you know the idea. I mean, you're a lawyer. You know the idea of a criminal conspiracy. Obviously, say, for example, a drug cartel, or even a small drug cartel. Say the Williams family were not dealing drugs. I mean, that's an incredible conspiracy. What went on there? All the people, the corruption, this and that. They had, everyone involved. So the idea that elite people aren't involved in the conspiracy is an absolute joke. There are whole police divisions that are set aside to examine criminal conspiracies in relation to drug, but there's none set up to examine like political conspiracies, and also conspiracies at a higher level than political, which is elite billionaire conspiracies and stuff. So there's no one policing that, and that's why they're getting away with everything, and that's why they're destroying the world as we speak and taking away everybody's liberty, and third worlding the Western world.
Well, you know my view on globalism. I think that's the curse of what we're facing altogether.
I agree.
The idea of destroying family and removing God from the equation is all part
Terrible.
of that. So effectively, God, whether you believe in God or not, is really not the point, but once you remove God, the only God that remains is the state. And whether it's Xi Jinping or it's King, the guy of North Korea, or whether it's say Daniel Andrews, for argument's sake, they're the benevolent dictators who decide everything, and that's just all over the world. We're seeing it at the moment.
Postmodern neo-Marxism, as Jordan Peterson has often critiqued it. Yeah.
Well, the joke here today is people were saying that. Basically decriminalizing prostitution, and then someone came up and said they found on Google that in Victoria sex workers can be exempt from the jab. So none of us are anti-vaxxers anymore. Now we're all sex workers.
Sex workers.
Yeah, we signed up today. So
we got our wish. We've turned Michael into a hooker.
pick your passion. We come in all shapes and sizes, and we all got free haircuts today, so we're looking pretty good.
Who told you they're exempt? Who said they're exempt?
What's this about exemption? Can you define that, Gadi? How they exempt?
And said they can be exempt from the jab. They Googled it, and Google's never
well, it must
wrong.
Be true.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't believe that.
I can't believe that either. I don't think Daniel Andrews would have put that in, because everyone would become prostitutes to avoid the jab.
Well, maybe that's his. That would be his.
That could be his Achilles heel.
Yeah, that's right. That would be his reason for his exemption. That's hilarious.
Anyway, we've been killing ourselves laughing about it.
I don't know where this is going to end. All this stuff. And it's not just about this.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it's everything, Richard. It's everything. You know what I'm saying? It's
of course.
The vaccine and the virus.
Yeah.
That's only a small aspect of the globalist agenda.
Of course. And can I make a comment here? I mean, the interesting thing about the globalists is many of them live in Western countries. They live in our countries, whether it be Europe, America, Australia, Canada, places like this. They live in their country, and they're destroying the very countries they live in. And it doesn't make sense because they're almost destroying themselves. And it's like, you know what I mean? And the very thing, society, even though they exist at a very elite level, they still participate in our society. And I know many of the particularly elite ones live behind gated communities and they have their own personal security. So in a sense, they're probably safe from the destruction they wrought on the rest, everyone who are below the pyramid, so to speak. Yeah. But like, I still think it will lead, it will lead to their own destruction. Martin Heidegger, who I mentioned before, my favorite philosopher, had a phrase in German called Selbstvernichtung, which means self-annihilation. And I think the globalists are infected with a kind of desire for their own annihilation. And that is secretly what they want. And even though they have this massive desire for world domination.
That's what Marx was about. That's what Marx is all
exactly.
about.
They seek their own annihilation because they're essentially kind of suicidal or and they're so insane with power. Yeah. And another comment Heidegger made was the apex of destruction destroys itself, because the thing that is so destructive and seeks and has the destructive power, it destroys itself. It makes sense that would be the case. That somebody who is just constantly on about destruction will destroy itself. So this is a very interesting thing about the globalists, I think, and it's their inherent flaw, in my opinion.
The wealthy elites, the economically, the corporate elites, and I'm not using that word lightly, but the corporate elites are basically running the world order. That's what it's going on.
Exactly.
The party of Davos, as we call them.
Yeah.
The ordinary person is just a Russian serf, less than a Russian serf now.
Well, that's the way they view us, but we're not.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And so, when they say they want to get rid of cash, or they want to get rid of money, or they want to start controlling how much money goes in and out of your account, that takes away all your freedom of choice and what you do and how you do. If you lose sovereignty over your body by having to take universal vaccination, no matter what the vaccination is, same again. Now I read yesterday that there is now a company in Sweden, I forgot its name, I could find it if I had to, which they deal with microchips that go into the skin of the hand right here. And I saw a promotional video by the company that they say it's wonderful because you're free. Imagine traveling and not having to do anything. You just walk in because it's all automated. Oh, how wonderful. Well, imagine what a dystopian nightmare that must be, where you are.
Well, that has obviously been one of their agendas, the kind of microchipping. And obviously, when this vaccine first appeared, it was one of the agendas. People thought, is there some kind of tracking device? And there's even some theory that within the Pfizer, there's some
Jesus
kind
is
of.
Here. He's turned up.
Oh, Jesus! No, it looks like Gandalf.
No, sorry, it's Sauron from the Lord of the Rings. We're still in trouble.
He's here to see Daniel Andrews. He's got an appointment with Daniel Andrews. Let him in.
Where do they come from, these guys? Unbelievable.
He's our arts director. Right, I was just going to say before I go on, I just managed to get it in. It shows you how desperate Daniel is for power, that he's basically willing to just give this bill to Fiona, and now he's done the same with the taxi. I mean, the 600 million to the taxi.
He's a good Catholic boy. He went to a Catholic university as well.
He got given Holy Communion.
That probably explains why he's the way he is.
But the Archbishop's second in command. gave him Holy Communion, and he's just basically allowed everyone to become a hooker. That's what we're dealing with.
What's the bribe he's given to the taxi guy? What's the name of the taxi guy who's betraying the people?
The real question is, what do you give to the Aboriginal animal liberationist guy?
Wow.
Oh, I tell you what, that's another bill that's come through. I had a look at that. It's insane with that bill. Basically, I walked away saying that the animals have more rights than the people who sleep hard on the street.
The goat.
Yeah. Well, the people on the street have a less being looked after than the animals now. That's quite amazing.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Melbourne had a pretty bad homeless problem for a long time. Before this crisis, as I said, I was in the city late one night and I went to a 7-Eleven there, and there was some kind of like homeless people arguing at the front of the 7-Eleven. It was in front of what's it called, the Flinders Street Station there, the one down Elizabeth Street. And when I came out, it broke out into a knife fight right next to me. I nearly got killed. Because they started attacking each other. Well, I think one guy was stabbing the other one. It was like, fucking hell, is this what Melbourne's become? Here we are, free hugs. That's what we need.
Yeah. But they're going to make it, the Animal Rights Party, they got that bill. That's a whopper bill. From now on, what will happen, every animal that's been lost and found by microchipping, there is a very convoluted process of trying to track down the owner.
I don't understand.
And
just going to say,
rules about...
Two sex interjection. At the Melbourne March, at the Shrine, they lined up a load of policemen and they fired at everybody. At this march, we're going to get a line of people standing there with free hugs. So that's the difference. I'll be one of them. What's your name? Mark. Sorry, Mark. This is Mark. Mark was the free hugger, and he got hugged to death last week. He should be toxic.
Hugged to death.
Amount of COVID, most contagious man in Melbourne. Most contagious man in Melbourne.
The Typhoid Mary of Melbourne.
Yeah, the Typhoid Mary, yeah. Is that okay. I'll go back. See you.
So again, the corporate elites are going to be you'll be able to own a dog, and it'll be so expensive for you to buy a dog because breeders will become so far and few in between. It's going to be so difficult. So you know, at the moment, if you're buying one of those sausage dogs, a dachshund, you're paying $4,000. You might be.
I love ducking. I actually want to buy a duck. You read my mind. I mean,
$4,000. But you might be paying $25,000.
I never realized that was so expensive. I thought it'd be $500 for a dog.
No, that's how it used to be. Now it's $4,000, and when this bill gets through, you can put a zero to it. It's going to be like that. It's going to be really expensive. It's going to be hard to breed these animals, and there is the stringent requirements on the owners. And
crazy.
If you're wealthy, you don't give a stuff. But if you're
what's up with that weirdo, that guy Andy Medic, and he's got 2 trans sons. Is that right? I mean, how crazy was that? I mean, one's fair enough. Maybe it might happen.
I can't hold that against. I can't hold that against the guy. That's.
I'm not holding it against him. I'm just saying it's unusual. You know what I mean? Well, and he looks his camp as a row of tents, doesn't he?
You want to talk about unusual? Have you seen the mayor of Chicago and her wife?
Beetlejuice, the guy, the woman with the she's
You want to talk about unusual?
These are globalists. These are definitely globalist puppets. I mean, so is this Andy.
How many other ones do you want me to tell you about? I mean, they're completely.
Well, no, it was a long list. Don't worry.
There really is a long list. The guy in Northern Territory is the chief minister in the Northern Territories. He's another one. Did you see him the other day? I think he must have been on meth or something. His eyes were lit up.
It's like they've promoted perverts everywhere they go. This is another globalist agenda. I don't know whether it's because they're blackmailable.
Speaking of perverts, let's get back to this bill. We're sitting here now, and from what we've heard, John Barton.
Can you stop interrupting? Apparently, I'm interrupting. I mean, I'm just talking. I'm here to talk.
Has just done a deal, a secret deal, and so Dan's got his vote. Andy Sumarak, is it? Or
Samirak. Yeah.
Samirak. He's in the House now. He's in there. Catherine came out and said he's in there. They're going to be debating right up until about midnight. And then they're going to be doing the amendments. And so basically about 2 or 3 in the morning, we should have a result. So that's where we are now.
Imagine amending the bill, not the sex bill, but the bill. I said to Michael all along, it's like asking Dr. Mengele to amend the operations in the Auschwitz concentration camp. It's a ridiculous idea to amend that bill.
Yeah.
You think Mengele would have
600
listened?
million for taxis. Wow.
I mean, this whole event is kind of like Dr. Mengele goes global. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we all thought we'd heard the last of Dr. Mengele, but it seems like he's had a tremendous comeback in 2021.
Yeah. Why would you give Why would you pay $600 million for taxis? What do taxis need for $600 million?
Why did they get 600? Is that the bribe? Basically, that's the bribe for his vote.
$640 million, and that's our money.
But what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with the money?
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter to Andrews. You know, I mean, he wants his vote because he wants to play totalitarian dictator.
They want to make Ubers pay more. Ubers have to pay more, so it makes it a more level playing field.
So we the public are the losers in the end, because now we end up paying more.
Yeah,
right? He's just competition.
Except you pay more, but you don't have to go as far to the brothel as you did before, because the brothel's next door.
That's right. You say, because you don't have to walk next door. You no longer have to drive.
See, I love him. Just got to walk the dog. Oh, that was a long walk.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just going down the shop to buy some milk, darling.
Yeah. I'll see you in 3 minutes. So honestly, it's laughing, but it's insane. That's what we're doing, and everyone thinks Dan's the savior of the world.
I'm no longer angry at any of this. I just laugh at it now. It's beyond anger.
It's crazy.
It does have the comedy of the absurd about it, everything that's been going on the last 2 years. I mean, you got to remember too, where it's December 2021, and this sort of began, I think we first heard the word coronavirus around Christmas 2019. You know, like there's some virus in China. It's not going to be a problem, of course.
Well,
it's called corona, and whatever. Yeah. And then so it's 2 years of this crap.
And you remember the video footage they showed of China where there was some bloke standing down in the middle of the road, and next thing he's falling flat in his face.
And you remember too, Gadi, this is interesting. There was like people who were like dressed up in hazmat suits, and they were walking through the streets of Wuhan, and they were kind of like, you know, spreading chemical disinfectant everywhere.
That's
I mean,
right.
this is a psyop. This was never done anywhere else in the world, but it was there to terrify the world. It was to send out an image of, you know, like major pandemic. It was like a kind of messaging, and it clearly was working. That China was working in confluence with Western media, with globalist media.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Richard, last year, I can't remember when last year, in the midst of the lockdown last year, I was walking down Glen Huntly Road in Elsternwick, and I saw two people.
I love Glen Huntly.
Yeah, Indian people they were, as it turns out, but they had a mask, they had a face shield, they had blue gloves, and they were walking in pairs. And what they were doing is they were spraying just seats and bus stop poles, walking up the street. How ridiculous is that?
That's one of the jobs you could get during the
pandemic. I saw that. Daniel Andrews was doing that in East Melbourne. I was in East Melbourne at a friend's place, and we were looking at these people who were like going and cleaning the poles. I mean,
that's right. They were cleaning the poles and the lights with the lights.
And there's another great video that came out of China that David Thrussell and I shared with David Thrussell, and you can still see it online. I think it's maybe the BBC has still got it up. But basically, what it was a Chinese adjutant or apparatchik leading some foreign dignitaries through Wuhan, and they're like, it was like giant blocks of flats, like housing commission, because that's what they all live over in Wuhan. But basically, people were screaming out. They said, "It's not real. It's not happening. There is no disease. Like, it's fake." People were screaming this out from their balcony. And they were saying,
police were breaking into their house and grabbing them, and the last thing they were saying was, "Don't believe them," and then they were being pulled away.
It was a psyop, and that was one of the things. Obviously, David Thrussell.
But everybody bought it. Everyone bought it. That was the porn fear that just reverberated through the community like wildfire. No one stopped to think, to analyze, to digest. That's it. We don't want to die. If it's happening there, we have to be protected. And
can you hear the war drums?
Yeah.
So Fiona Patten, I mean, her vote was crucial initially because obviously she was like, if she were to drop out, basically, maybe he had Andy Medic in the hole, and who's the other one? The Greens was obviously going to vote.
The Greens, and there's an interesting lady. Now, Michael, tell that kind of protest.
What's her name? Ratfink? Is that a name? Ratfink or?
I forgot her name.
I think it's something like Ratner or Ratfink. Yeah, I call her Ratfink.
There was a counter protest by this other mob and she had the whole post on it. When I looked down on who they were basically Antifa, BLM, and a bunch of Palestinian anti-Semites. That was the cohort that she was advocating for, and it was.
She loves the Palestinians, yeah.
I remember Bob Brown years ago talking about we need one world government. I remember him saying that.
Who said that?
Bob Brown. You know, when he was in charge of the Greens, talking about we need one world government. So maybe that makes sense of why they're going the way they're going. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've had some leaders
down here. They call them watermelons, green on the outside, communist on the inside.
On the middle, yeah.
That's right. That's what
they call
it. Yeah, that's right.
Watermelons. And yeah, I mean, I think we see a lot. Obviously, like Malcolm Turnbull and Kevin Rudd, Liberal and Labor, were both kind of absolutely globalist politicians.
Totally.
To some extent.
Tony Abbott wasn't, and that they got rid of him, and they put in the wishy-washy ScoMo. He just seems to sit there and do nothing, really.
Yeah, he's very wishy-washy. Absolutely.
I mean, he made this announcement where he says, government needs to step back now and get its kind of basically get its foot off people's so business can get back to normal. And I mean, he's the fucking prime minister of the country. I mean, he has the power to do that. He can override Daniel Andrews. Daniel Andrews can pass whatever legislation he wanted. Remember Belton Road? Daniel Andrews wanted Belton Road, and then federally they said, no, you can't do it. So, Scott Morrison does have the power to override any of these state, wannabe dictator, tempo dictators, but doesn't do it.
I'm not sure that he does have that power.
I think too,
doesn't he?
Like the op shops are now not allowing the unvaccinated in. So the Christian op shops are basically segregating people, and you can have a brothel wherever you want. And
yeah, I mean, I think that was a joke in lockdown.
You can't go into the Salvos to buy your kid a shirt because it's cheap, but you can go next door to your.
Yeah. Basically, the unvaccinated are going to become the poorest part of the community, and they're not allowed into op shops, which are set up to service the poor. They're also not allowed
this is a similar situation.
Not allowed into homeless, and there's a thing coming from Bendigo. They're not allowed into Centrelink, and they're not allowed into soup kitchens.
So you can't get the dole either. You can't get the dole either. That's amazing.
I don't know if you can't get the dole. I think you got to do it online. I haven't heard that. They did put it out there, but I don't think it's gone through. But that's where we are.
Right.
And
but remember in lockdown, there was the thing, it was like the joke, all the churches were closed, but all the brothels were open. And that was true. So basically.
That was true. That was true.
And that was extraordinary. That really, I think, said it all in many ways. You couldn't, I mean, you could definitely open a church and socially distance, worship, or you could do worship in a field or in the backyard of a church, or God knows where.
But you're not going to get together in a church. I mean, I know you shake hands and say peace be with you, but you're not going to be having sex in the pew, unless it's unless you're an olive.
Yeah, it's all Luciferian. It's all Luciferian nonsense. All this.
But here, but the brothels. I mean, come on, Remember that.
And to bring it back to Fiona Patten for a minute, because she started as the sex party, and I mean, originally the party was about I guess advocacy for sex workers, but then it became the Reason Party. And I mean, I as I said, I was asked to speak once, for some rally she was doing early on when it was the sex party or whatever. She didn't seem that bad. She seemed very libertarian on most things, and I wasn't particularly fond of her more libertarian stuff in relation to the sex industry, but she seemed libertarian on almost everything. So I thought, she didn't seem that bad. And something seemed to happen to her. Maybe she got corrupted, and there were rumors floating around at the time that she had connections to, people who are very high up in the sex industry. And obviously that's an industry that's full of organized crime and all this kind of thing, So this was the kind of thing I heard when I went to just whispers, kind of thing. But I've no idea whether it's true or not. And obviously there's never been an investigative journalist who's looked into it, because we know journalism doesn't happen anymore.
Fiona's been telling everybody here, or all the media, that all these people here want to come up and kill the politician.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're all far right extremists. She has gone on about that. Yeah.
She's a hysteric, but she knows how to generate hysteria with people as well.
She was on my Facebook page for a long, long time.
The oppression factor. Yeah,
right.
And
I mean, as I said, I've met her. She's not really that bad a person. I've met her and hung out with her a couple of times when she was doing one of her things, and she didn't seem really that bad. It kind of surprised me. I did write to her when she first supported Daniel Andrews, right in 2020. I said, "What are you doing? You know what I mean? This is really not like you. This is kind of the opposite of libertarianism, which was the philosophy you originally kind of spoke and supported."
What did she say?
Absolutely not. She didn't say nothing. And I knew other people who knew her, and I think a lot of us were very disappointed because she seemed like somebody who was, pro-libertarian and would push that kind of agenda. And obviously, I mean, this is the whole terrible thing with COVID is the way that, it's only ever this health is, and this one disease is the only thing anyone worries about. And everybody's jobs, everybody's,
and it's such a small part of the problem.
This goes down the toilet.
Can I ask you another thing too, which we were laughing at? So they found Omicron in Australia now, but how?
Oh yeah.
How'd they get the test for it? It's only been around for 6 days. How'd they do
I know,
that?
it's because
that's right.
Well, as David Russell would say, because it's bullshit, mate. That's how they did it, because it's a lie. Right.
And the funny thing
is,
I
untrustworthy, that guy.
I heard ScoMo today say that David. He said, "Let's not get excited, let's not panic, but what we're going to do is we're going to protect people by taking a 2-week pause." Now, what the hell is a 2-week pause going to achieve? I mean, think about it. What? I don't understand it. It's either it's contagious, that's all we know, but it's not going to kill you. It's very mild. That we know. I think we know.
Well, it seems like COVID itself. I mean, Michael had it a couple of weeks back, and he said it was pretty mild. It was just like a mild flu, right? And I know a lot of other people have had it now.
Loads of people here have had it. All of them have had it mild. They're just worn out, tired mainly.
Yeah, and also too, if I know you've been a bit run down. I mean, it might have affected you, because you've been very busy every day. You're doing a show every night, and you're out organising and attending protests.
No, I'm not organising anything.
No, I didn't mean organising.
Don't listen to him. I'm not organising.
I didn't mean
organising anything. He's just having a show.
I didn't mean that word. I meant attending and recording and you know what I mean, documenting. That's what I meant. Pardon my pun.
My complaint with government is that not that there's a pandemic and
not organising.
No, of course not.
There is a pandemic, that's fine, and it's spreading, that's fine. But I think the governments have not handled it well. They've approached it from the position of panic, and they've concentrated on the authoritarian bludgeon system rather than critical thinking and there are other ways it could have been dealt with.
We're going live tonight.
Hello.
Hello. Greetings from planet Mars.
Yeah.
Greetings, Earthling. We are from the World Economic Forum.
That's the problem, the World Economic Forum.
We are too. This is the great reset.
I've come here to have a look. I wanted to read.
Have a look, love.
Messages on the steps.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what they were about.
Michael, we can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, you've got to get in really close.
Speak into the microphone.
Hello.
Go on.
Really close.
I should actually.
Can you say? Can you speak?
You've got nice white hair.
Can you hear her?
I just put my teeth in.
Put your teeth in.
Yeah. What did you say? Repeat what you said.
Yeah.
She said she's just putting her teeth
I'm just
in.
putting my teeth in.
Yeah,
Nice.
no, I've got that part.
So
Yeah.
I've
You got to speak forward into that thing there.
gosh, this is
This is technical.
this is really
This is cool.
You have leave to speak.
You're live.
stuff, But I'll get my head around it. I'll get there.
So she's here to look at the messages on the steps.
I am. I'm
Yep.
here to look at the messages because I think it's really important to talk about the messages. I mean, we've got messages from nurses and childcare workers, drivers, all sorts of people, and just messages from the Indigenous talking about the land. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's a bizarre scene here. People are having their haircuts. The police, there's a lot of police, and they're standing there with their masks on. They look really hot and thirsty, and people are cruising in, and it's Melbourne, and it's a beautiful night in Melbourne, and
It's the edge of democracy.
and it's weird. It's weird. I mean, a bill has been passed.
Oh, it hasn't passed yet. Later
It
tonight.
hasn't.
About 2:00 in the morning. So
Okay.
you're still in a democracy for about
5 minutes.
5 hours.
Well, do you think it's going to go through?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, that's it. That subject's right off the
What's your
agenda.
name, by the way?
Josette.
Josette.
Yeah.
Josette, welcome to Cafe Lockdown.
Welcome.
Lockdown.
Yeah.
Lockdown. Yeah.
Cafe. Is there
Yeah.
a drink?
Yeah, there.
Pass the alcohol.
Water, like an Uber.
It's all right. I've actually got a bottle of water.
No worries.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really good. I mean, hey, this is new media.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the people on the street. This is where
Yeah, until big tech gets hold of it and then shut that down. That's right. Oh, here we go. Airborne. That's very good, Richard.
I'll cruise on then.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for coming on the
you.
show.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank
let's
you.
see if we get the police on. Would you like to speak? No.
No.
Sorry. No, keep going, gentlemen.
Okay.
Well,
No,
I've been
I
talking
think
too
that's-
much, apparently.
No, that's not so.
Richard, don't
your
get
four
upset.
pearls of
Everyone's
wisdom, Richard.
everyone's a critic, Richard.
Everyone's a critic, mate. You get these live critics. Which the guy on the bottom would shut up. It's like,
Yeah, I always get the trolls. You know what I mean?
I'm here to make a few jokes, aren't I? And interject.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's free speech, and let's. Why can't we laugh? I mean, you're going to have someone's going to set up a brothel next to your grandmother. Why can't we joke about it? Because we can't stop it.
I think it is an important issue we're discussing tonight. Because essentially you're talking about corruption.
What are we talking about next to your grandmother? Your grandmother could help you set up and be a hooker, and you can't do anything about it. You just got to make sure you get an appointment and tell her you're coming so she can clean up, and you don't have a few guys sitting there or girls, whatever they represent.
And we can thank Fiona Patten.
That's where we're heading. That's what we gave democracy. We gave democracy away so your grandmother could become a whore. That's where we're heading. That's what we did. Thank you, Dan Andrews. You're a man of God. Yeah. I don't know which God, but you're a man
the Christian brothers who taught him must have done a right job.
Oh, they must be going.
What the fuck?
Richard,
I told you to hit him more.
Yeah, no, it's moments like this that I'm happy that I'm Jewish.
I think it may be
Yeah, well, you got to avoid the the Catholic school, mate. I went to a private school, but it wasn't Catholic, thank God.
They're all the same. But
thank God to be honest that you didn't go to a religious school. Is that what you just said?
A state school and a Catholic school.
Did you just say thank God that I didn't go to a religious school?
Yeah, I didn't go to a Catholic school. Hey, that seems fucking shocking, mate.
That's what you said, though.
Yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I didn't. Who would want to grow up particularly in the fucking 70s, mate? Thank you.
No, I'm just wondering if you did that on purpose, or that was just it was just.
Oh no, I mean, I went to Ivanhoe Grammar School. There you go, I can name it. And because my father went there, he seemed to enjoy it. It was in the 80s, So. And what school did you go to? What's the name of the Jewish? Did you go to a private Jewish school?
No, mate, I went to Toorak Central and Melbourne High.
Melbourne High. Isn't that the progressive one, the kind of artsy one?
And Melbourne High was always a school that you got in based on your results in the state school, in Central School.
But that was progressive Melbourne High.
They had art, music, cadets. It was an
I know someone who went there. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
But it was a very much
anyway,
class school.
Just letting you know, if you're in Melbourne, before we wrap up, sorry to interrupt, guys. There is a lovely feeling here. I think the vigil's going to go right in the night. We had a beautiful singer here before. There's other singers coming down. There's food. There's water. There's a lovely, sad, sort of melancholy feel to it, as people are just hoping that some miracle will happen at the final hour, and common sense and decency will prevail. And then there's a lot of oddbods walking around too, which is kind of funny. And but yeah, it's a moment in history. If you're sitting there watching something you've watched before and you want to come down and be a part of history, maybe come down and sit with us, whether you're vaxxed or unvaxxed or whatever way. And
doesn't matter.
Here. We are on the edge of democracy. That's where we're at. We're just about to give a psychopath dictator powers.
Once again. And is there any chance there could be some? Because obviously there was a rumor of it wasn't a rumor. It was announced that there were like 5 Labor people who were not going to seek re-election. Is there any chance somebody could?
The lower house. Too late.
That's lower house, so that's out. Is there anybody? Is there anybody in the upper house? I'm just going to ask this question: Is there anybody in the upper house who might, at the last minute, cross the floor? Maybe somebody in Labor might have had enough of Andrews.
2 secs. I don't think so. Just 2 secs.
It's possible though, isn't it? It's technically possible. Gadi, isn't it?
Everything is possible in theory.
Well, there could be a miracle. So let's hold hands in prayer.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Into faith prayer, mate.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I'm just going to get the woman who cut my hair on today, because what's been beautiful here today is great kindness from all these hairdressers. They've had, the police wouldn't let them stay in the shade. They've had people holding umbrellas on them. They've cut loads of people's hair for nothing. And they've had, here she is. Here she is. Look at this.
Hello.
And she cut my hair today. I didn't let her cut it too much because I actually like it, but I think
we gave her a nice tidy up.
She's a great conversationalist and lots of great stories. I hope she'll come on the story and tell us some. And she's been a Trojan. She's been cutting hair all day. Amazing. And we don't need to ask about her vaccination status because we don't care. But
the people's hairdresser.
She's a wonderful human being.
The people's hairdresser.
You're a hero.
I'm not.
A hero.
You are. She is.
You are. You're a hero.
She's had the police behind her constantly all day, looking down at her as though she's a criminal.
Did they?
It's true. It's true.
Did any police get their hair cut?
I've met some amazing people here today, though. It's been awesome. Really, really good. Like, amazing humans. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I actually wish it was here all week. You're awesome.
Well, maybe we'll meet you in Mickleham.
Oh, God.
In the camp.
No.
No.
I'm heading to the hills.
You head to
Gypsy style?
She's heading to the hills, gypsy
heading
style.
to the hills, gypsy style, barefoot. Yep.
Yeah.
Probably my best life, to be honest.
No worries. But honestly, her and there's about 7 or 8. And they've just been doing it all day. They did it all yesterday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
And they've been doing it all day. And it's really a strange feeling because you're amazed by their kindness and their defiance, because the police have really got this intimidation and they're just ignoring it. And then you got the police, who I don't actually hate at all, because they're doing what they have to do, but it's just tyranny. They're just standing there like this, looking at them, guns, and you're just thinking, it's the border between who we were and who we're going to be. And tonight we find out if we.
I'm telling you, Michael, as soon as the bill passes, the police will round up everybody and move them on. You wait.
I agree.
We absolutely agree with that. That's what. And that's what I'm staying here. So I'm going to stay here tonight because I absolutely think.
Try not to get arrested, please.
Yeah, try not to. Otherwise, he'll have to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and bail you out, mate.
Just try. But that's what's going to happen. This is they're saying this is the last hurrah. That's why the show of strength. They'll round them up.
If you want to taste a bit of freedom,
demonstration on Saturday. They'll just crush everything now. That's the end of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I agree, Gadi.
I totally agree.
Isn't it interesting? May I make one comment? I mean, I've spoken to a few people, and they've actually, people, you've heard about people who are preppers, you know what I mean? Like, this kind of, they're kind of slightly apocalyptic, but some people are literally planning to, go bush and live in tents for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, people. I think they actually think that the Australian bush is this place like the Garden of Eden that's full of nice animals and fruit that they can live on. It's a desert. You go out there, you're going to die. Exactly.
Yeah. Or the snakes will kill you or something.
Well, unless you.
We've had 12,037 comments. Most of them telling Richard to shut up.
No.
And the rest of them congratulating the Golden Gadi for coming forward and explaining the whore bill. Yeah. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you for explaining that bill to us. Very erudite. I'm going to go find something to eat and listen to some music. If I'll send you a reminder, Richard. Yeah, good on you, brother. Thanks, guys. Forgetful. That was a great show. Take care. All the best. Bye. Bye. We're still on.